Oh my goodness, darlings, gather round because we simply must chat about the absolute joys of encountering those oh so charming individuals who seem to live to vex us. You know the type, right? The ones who are just a bundle of joy wrapped in a layer of exasperation. Let's start with the classic. You're having a lovely day, probably sipping your tea and enjoying the delightful British weather, or let's be honest, dodging raindrops like they're the latest dance craze. And in comes this painfully tedious character, ready to ruin your vibe. I mean, isn't it just excruciatingly boring how they can drone on about their cat's dietary preferences for what feels like an eternity? I could honestly feel my brain cells staging a protest, waving tiny signs that read, "Help us." And then there's that moment when you realise they're not just a sweet person. They're actually a teeth-grindingly irritating person who thinks they're the star of their own sitcom. Oh, the eye-roll-inducing tales they tell. You'd think they were auditioning for a one-person show on how to be mind-numbingly dull. Bravo, darling, but do we really need another act of sheer agony? Honestly, it's like a masterclass in frustration. Their ability to turn the simplest conversation into a vexing ordeal is almost commendable.
Oh my God.
Who knew it was possible to talk about the weather and somehow make it feel like a chore? It's as if they're competing for the title of the most aggravating individual on the planet. But let's not forget the silver lining. Despite the madness, they do provide us with some hilarious anecdotes to share with our friends later.